I think it seems to be live. Is it live? Okay. All right. Hi. Good morning to all of you. I think it seems to be live. Is it live? Okay. Good. Okay. Right. So I'm going to start off the session. Hope everyone is doing good. We'll start discussion with markets, and probably we should do that more often to have more of market conversation. I'm assuming my audio video setup is okay. It seems all right. Just give me a minute. All right. Hi, Aditya. Good morning. Akash has asked a great question on how to get into equity research. We've titled today's session as Careers Beyond Equity Research, but sure we'll discuss that as well. I think let's start a little bit of markets. In general, is this a lot of significant things have happened in this week. I think every day this week has been very interesting in terms of the news flow. In general, what should one do now in equity markets, right? That's the thought process. So I want to give you some pointers on how I'm approaching markets right now. RBI news is net positive, right? The Reserve Bank of India yesterday, where we had significant reduction in repo rates. We had very significant reduction in CRR, that's cash reserve ratio, that's going to happen in phases. What it basically means, a lot of additional liquidity will be flowing into the market, right? So if you think what a CRR is, which is currently I think about 4%, if you make a fixed deposit of, let's say very loosely speaking, 100 rupees in a bank, then out of that 4 rupees bank have to keep broadly in cash or cash equivalents. They can lend rest of the money. Of course, they have to follow SLR guidelines as well. Now from 4%, that number will come down in phases to 3%. What it basically means, banks will have a lot more cash to lend, and biggest borrowers from the banks are your corporates and especially your non-banking financial companies. So I feel every time in the past we've seen liquidity increasing in the market, the markets have done well, right? And I don't see any other reason why this time would be any significantly different. So clearly banks will be a net beneficiary. I think this quarter might be not so great for the banks because about 25-30% of the bank assets are linked to the repo rates. So when the repo rates go down, bank interest income on those assets will go down. But subsequently, after the current loans are repriced, I think banks will be able to lend a lot more. So net RBI policy seems great. Inflation is under control, which is also a very interesting situation to be in. GDP growth is good. It's a rare situation in an economy where you see a good GDP growth and low inflation and central bank willing to go a little aggressive. I mean, they changed the stand from accommodative. Now the stand is neutral, which means maybe in the future rate cuts will not be there. But even then, the drop in CRR seems significant. So in the short to medium term view, I think I'm turning a little more positive towards equity. We can almost call it as migration from risk off environment to risk on environment. And if you're a good stock picker and if you can find decent valuation in the current market, I think it looks like a great opportunity to be in. All right, so that's the general commentary on what I think about the markets. We'll start with the session. The first question, and this question was actually asked to me in my classroom in the morning today when I was doing a CFA level 2 class, that there was a candidate who currently works in the fixed income space. And he came to me and he said, I did level one long time back, and then I took a break. And that time I realized there was a lot of competition in equity research. Because जो भी मेरे पास आ रहा, like every other candidate was saying that I want to be in equity research. So I was looking for some other areas. And then I think this particular candidate got a job in Morningstar in structured finance. And then he worked there for a few years, and now he's kind of co-founded some startup in structured finance space. So I thought it's a great topic for a conversation, because a lot of times when we think finance, we think that finance kind of ends at I mean, a lot of people feel that finance is all equity research, but there's a lot more to finance careers beyond equity research. So we'll have some discussion. I don't have a structure to this, but I'll try to list down some of the areas that I find very interesting within finance to explore opportunities. All right. So I will use my screen. I will take 5 minutes, but I'll try to answer this as comprehensively as I can. You should be able to see my screen here. Let me set up a new PDF. Okay, here we go. So in no particular order of preference, and I'm going to make this list, whatever comes to my mind. But the first area is investment banking. Okay. Now, investment banking is a very broad term, and people use it in a variety of different contexts. But what investment banking essentially is, that there is maybe a company who's interested in acquiring someone else. There's a company which is interested in raising funds or getting acquired, and then you're like a middleman of sorts, right? So either representing on the buy side or representing on the sell side. Very broadly, that's what investment banking is. Now, within investment banking, you have this large, we call them as the bulge bracket investment bank, and then you have a small and mid-size investment banks. Now, I feel this is a interesting opportunity in India, because as the economy evolves, more and more number of companies would be wanting to raise funds to scale their businesses, right? And every time you need to raise fund, you need to find the right set of investors, and that's where investment bankers come into play. So this is very interesting. I particularly like this space, right? The boutique investment bank, the ones which have built niche into a particular sector. For example, I know one particular investment bank that specializes only and only in pharma, and within pharma into one particular space. So there are these investment banks, 10 people team, 15 people team, 20 people team, and I think some of these have interesting opportunities. Now, how to apply and how to get into investment banking. So I'll show you an interesting way to explore this. There are two resources for you. Okay, first resource, if you go on the SEBI website and just search for list of merchant bankers. Okay, so SEBI has a list of all the registered merchant bankers. These are the guys who are helping companies, do IPOs. And you'd see that it's a very comprehensive list with all the details available, including phone numbers and email IDs. Now, let's say I happen to live in Mumbai, so I'll just put in Mumbai here, and let's see if it shows me Mumbai registered investment bankers. Now I see many of them. So for example, let's say, I don't know, let's pick up some name randomly. Surprisingly, I have only 3 in this list. Okay, let me pick up maybe this one, right? And I'll just go on the internet and search for, these guys and see if I can come across their website. I'm finding them on Screener. I didn't know the investment bank themselves are listed. Very interesting. Now, once I find them, I'll look at their website. We'll see who's the right contact person, who are the founders. Okay, so contact us, about us, vision, okay, our management. Now the founder happens to be this particular gentleman. We'll go do another search on the internet. right? And here you go, I found his LinkedIn profile, and then maybe, try to reach out or follow the same gentleman on Twitter and see if I can generate some lead. So this SEBI website, I think, is a fantastic way for you to explore merchant banking. Then there is another website. It's called Association of Investment Bankers or something like that. Okay, Association of Investment Bankers of India, and then these guys have a directory. Okay, so I don't know if I can find a list, but somewhere on their website they do have a list. I think it must be here. Yeah, here you go. So this is a member directory. We have roughly about 94 investment banks there. I mean, some of them are very obvious. You see Yes Bank, but some of them are smaller ones, right? SMC Capital, Socred MS Capital, and so on. So you can also follow the same approach for some of these people. So that's a good area to explore. It's a relationship-based business. It's a business where you have to negotiate a lot for both the parties, and therefore I feel it's relatively protected to a large extent from AI. I mean, AI might be able to automate a lot of things, but the front end part of the investment banking is something that will probably not happen so fast, right? So definitely a good avenue for you to explore. Okay, what else? Private wealth. I've spoken multiple times, about this. You're interested in working in this area, go to Amphi website, search for ARN holders. Okay, you'd find a list of large number of people here. By the way, this method that I proposed of cold emailing has worked. I was recently doing a meet in Mumbai with FinTree students, and there was one particular candidate who came out to me and he said, I followed exactly the same process. I applied to about 110 companies. I received 4 calls. I converted 1 offer out of it. Okay, so just give it a try. I mean, the more number of people you reach out, higher the probability. The third area is fixed income, which is again very interesting space. Obviously, if you want to work in fixed income, there's a fantastic certification called FIMDA with, I think, a double M, but I'm not sure, something like this. You can look it up. It's an NISM certification. That could be a good starting point. This certification will give you an entry-level understanding of how Indian fixed income markets work. If you're a CFA candidate, you would find it very easy. If you're not, you'll have to put in a little bit of time. But within fixed income, you can work with the mutual funds, which is a great opportunity. But you can also work with platforms, right, which are kind of trying to democratize fixed income as a space. For example, Quint, I interviewed the promoter on FinTree YouTube channel some time back. You can look that up. Plenty of platforms. Some innovative products are being built. Pass-through securities, or pass-through certificates will come to India. Your mortgage-backed securities, you can explore that. What else can I think of? You can definitely work in risk management. These are also very interesting area. If you're a CFA candidate and this is something that excites you, maybe a FRM would be a fantastic add-on. Now, within risk management, there are multiple niches, right? So you can, for example, brokers need risk management. All the asset management companies need risk management teams. And then, of course, you can work with GCCs like Credit Suisse and Morgan Stanley and so forth. And I think for today's session, we'll probably cap it to these 4, which to me looks exciting. There are many more. I think we should definitely add fintech to the list. If you come from a tech background, know a little bit of finance, thousands of opportunities to explore. Okay, so in order of in the interest of time, I'll keep the list limited, but maybe in the next session, if you want, I can discuss more on these areas. Okay. All right. Let me take some questions live now from YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and listening to me, maybe this would be a good time to ask questions. Penchal is asking what are the opportunities in bond markets for CFA professionals. There are good opportunities, but not large number of opportunities. What I mean by this is few select openings, but the openings which exist are really high quality. So Penchal, you can definitely explore, along the lines. I think a good starting point would be just make a list of all the debt mutual fund managers in the country, start following them on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, where you can find them, and then start reaching out to them and hope that one of them replies, maybe emails, phones, everything will work. Akash, how to get into equity research as a BCom graduate, Tier 3 college. Akash, financial modeling is an absolutely important skill. Don't chase for a fancy certificate because no one really cares if you have a certificate or not. I think people care if you can demonstrate a true skill. So learn how to think about because at the end of the day, equity research is nothing but analyzing the business of the entity. So make sure you acquire those category of skills. Make sure you can build a 3-statement forecast, a 3-statement financial model. Make sure you know how to forecast capex, how to forecast, all of those things. And if you read enough calls and presentations, that's a skill that can be acquired over time. Sarim, how to get into corporate finance? I'm from legal background. I'm preparing for CFA level 1. Okay. Sarim, I think law plus finance, I feel that particular niche has a lot of opportunities in the market. Okay, so one is of course corporate finance, but one area you should definitely explore. All these large investment banks, right? When they enter into a derivative trade with a party for the first time, they build a document called ISDA, ISDA. Now, when you build this ISDAs with your counterparty, typically, you negotiate on every clause that exists. There are some clauses which are standardized, but there are many clauses which are very customized. You negotiate on this clause. Some of these negotiations I've heard go on for months and years. And there is a lack of high quality talent in the market where people know how to draft quality, high quality clauses. And see, drafting is not just English, right? It's basically your understanding of business environment and finding a solution to the problem. So drafting these ISDAs or clauses in ISDAs, I feel is a fantastic opportunity. You can get into, legal due diligence, your Amarchand and all these large firms. They have legal due diligence teams that advise on, mergers or any of the corporate transactions. You can do that. If you live in India, SEBI compliance is a fantastic opportunity that you can explore within the legal space. And then of course, corporate finance can be explored. Within corporate finance, Sarim, I like a particular area called corporate development, which is mostly an M&A team that sits. So find people who work in corporate development, get in touch with them, network, see if you can generate some opportunities. Viraj, current situation of job market is very difficult to get in as a fresher. Everyone is asking for experience and not education, I guess. What should I do? Internships, Viraj. That's what we have started doing. See, right now the job markets are not easy. The hiring is slower than what it used to be maybe a couple of years back. But a lot of new employers have come up, right? And internship is a relatively risk-free model for everyone in the process. You as a student get to learn, on the job and get paid a little bit. Employers get to test you. So look for internship opportunities, maybe 2 internships of 6 months each or 1 year long internship, and then see if you can convert into a full-time job. Sarath is asking what are the opportunities for PSU banking professionals. I don't know much, Sarath. I think I have very opaque understanding of how PSUs operate internally from promotions. I mean, apart from whatever knowledge I've heard from students. So I would not be the best person to answer that. And I'm not aware of all the exams you're supposed to write to grow within a public sector bank. Kushal, what is a roadmap for private wealth, portfolio management, packages of experience needed for it, and use of AI to start business around it? Okay, good question. If I had to remodel my career in private wealth today, Kushal, assuming I'm a fresher, I'll probably first select my city, because I've spoken about this before. Once you work in a particular domain, like particular city, it's difficult to change. जैसे आप if you start your career in Bombay, you probably are going to be in Mumbai, for the rest of your career. So select your city properly, whatever city you want to live in. Then what I'll do is, once I've done my selection on city, which is a personal preference, then I will reach out to this large private sector bank. Okay, so HDFC, Kotak, Axis, maybe slightly lower tier as well. And I will look for a job as a relationship manager, or a job within the wealth team, either of the two. Relationship manager will also work. Because what a private sector bank will do is that right on day one, they will give you 100, 200, 300 clients to deal with, right? And otherwise, building that initial client base in this business is very tough. So I'll go work with a private sector bank maybe for a few years. In that window, I will make sure that I'm protecting my clients and absorbing all the pressure. Because this private sector bank notoriously are infamous for pushing products which are not necessarily the best for the clients, right? Insurance and whatnot. So you absorb the pressure, but make sure your clients are protected. You're always giving them right advice. And then 2-3 years down the line, when you quit the job, hope that some of the clients want to stick with you, and you can set up your own industry around it. I think that would be a fantastic way to do it. How would AI be used? So a lot of AI agents are being trained now, where you take a generic LLM model and then you build expertise into one specific area. If you just go to ChatGPT website and look at all the niche user case, recently I was exploring, I took this IELTS agent like on ChatGPT, and I just wanted to experiment what they're doing. So it was a version of GPT, but very specifically trained on helping candidates prepare for this particular exam, right? So, and which is honestly nothing but a very large prompt, which is using the backend of ChatGPT and generating a very user-specific experience. There is a fantastic video on Y Combinator website on how to build specific AI agents for use cases. So you can read that. I'm pretty sure AI will have a big use case in any of the businesses going forward. Okay. Let's see if I can, any view on Vijay Mallya podcast? I feel like we owe him money after listening to him. I haven't listened to the podcast yet. I want to, but I've spoken about my view on, Vijay Mallya case and other cases in the past. See, there are two different aspects to it, right? One is an entrepreneur trying to take a very risky bet and it's not playing out, which probably what happened with him. And the second aspect is the fraudulent intention. Okay, so we want to see beyond the flamboyance, because a lot of that is personal space, and you want to objectively look at that from a business perspective. There's a book by Nassim Taleb called Anti-Fragile. In that book, I came across a sentence. I in fact put it on my Twitter account as well. I am not very active on Twitter, but that's one of the rare posts I made, where he said something like, you should celebrate an entrepreneur at least as much as maybe an army professional. Now that's a little stretch, right? But the thought process was that entrepreneurs take risk and that risk leads to a lot of innovation. Everything that you see around us, thanks to capitalism, at some stage there was some entrepreneur willing to put in risk capital, right? It could be EVs, everything, right? Mobile phones, someone has put in risk capital somewhere. That's why these things exist. And we see one successful product, but we don't see 10 failed companies beyond it. All of them contributed to the growth. So we don't want to demonize startups or businesses that failed trying to do something big, right? Now, you can't demonize if someone had a fraudulent intention and they had intention to, defraud people and run away with money. We've had 1,000 cases in India. So you have to see what happened really in the case. But I love to listen to that podcast. 4 घंटे का है तो शायद टाइम लगेगा सुनने में. Skills required for equity research, I think I've answered that. Sareem, in addition to my previous career, honestly, I want to switch career, move to finance. What could be better option apart from corporate finance where I could have more ease in getting absorbed? Sareem, if I were at your place, I would definitely look for an intersection of law and finance together, not let go of finance completely. Okay, so because that's your competitive advantage compared to so many other finance candidates. And definitely look for a legal plus finance career. And many of these large legal firms, not only domestic, even global. I don't know if you've heard of jurisprudence. Go and look at some of these guys. Sorry, not jurisprudence. I forgot the name. This is a global consulting firm. I forgot the name. If anyone remembers, put it there. But these guys consult to all the big investment banks on very specific topics, and they publish reports and give consults. There are plenty of good opportunities at the intersection of law and finance. So maybe explore that. What is the best source to learn financial modeling for free? How do I find equity research jobs in Pune? I wouldn't know a best source to learn financial modeling for free. Maybe YouTube would be a good place to hunt, see if you can find something there. We do have a free video that will give you a basic on how financial modeling works. How do I find equity research jobs in Pune? Again, the Pune market is very small, Saili. So if you restrict yourself to Pune, the number of employees are very, very limited. I don't think we have a big sell side departments here. There's no sell side business out of Pune. It's mostly Mumbai. We have a few buy side, like 10, 15 funds maybe. Each one of them will have maximum of 10 people. So you're looking at a market size of 150, 200, 500 at tops, right? Equity research people in the city. So Bombay is the way to go. Shlok. With the growth in AI, how will the impact of it freshers, research analysts, and also for other finance roles? That's a great one. I'll tell you what I think, Shlok, because exactly on the same topic, I had conversation with one of the FinTree recruiters. He reached out to me and he wanted to recruit just one candidate for a research role. A large fund manager based out of India, but he wanted to recruit someone in India for his personal portfolio. So I asked him, what skills are you looking at? And he said, good with numbers and everything, but writing skill needs to be top notch, right? And I asked him, why do you need writing skills now? I mean, GPT can do most of the writing skill. So historically, for a fresher, the skills that were required is you're extremely good at your communication skills, especially your written English had to be good. And then your modeling and everything else. Now I feel those skills are relatively less important. I know a lot of buy-side firms today are using AI to generate their reports. Okay, these are internal reports, but they have large prompts written, and they've done a lot of work on building those prompts. So I think the real skill now is how well can you read a business environment. Okay, and that is a function of how well read you are, how much knowledge you've been able to absorb, how well can you connect the dots. So start with financial modeling. Again, focus on the business and the logic rather than how Excel is designed. No one really cares about your Excel design. That is a one-day skill. But how well do you interpret a situation? That's a true skill. Start there. Read a lot of conference call presentations, and hopefully you get your first opportunity somewhere. Okay. Let's see if we have some new questions coming up. Samip says, hi, hope you're doing well. If you remember me, I took your classes from level 1, level 2 in 22, 23. My question is, I'm planning to give level 3 in Feb 26. Should I join the classes? I mean, if you need help, of course you should. I feel level 3 a mentor is very helpful. Reason why I feel it's helpful is because level 3 is the first exam out of the 3 levels where you need a feedback on how you're writing, right? Because level 3 has constructed responses and there's a very specific skill set on how you write. And in the absence of anyone guiding you, you would never know if I'm writing good enough or not. The only way to know it is after the exam results. And even in that, they don't give you a morning afternoon split, right? So very difficult. I mean, they don't give you a constructed response versus MCQs kind of a split. So I think level 3, some mentor would be helpful. But only on this part, the curriculum is not that difficult, except like pieces in between. So curriculum is okay. It's just the constructed response that's very, that where you need help. And should you wish to join, you're welcome. I think we do sessions on every Sunday afternoon. Level 3, Samip, I've changed my format. Now, in my classrooms, I'm actually not teaching the syllabus anymore. We have comprehensive videos for that. So what I'm doing in my level 3 live sessions is every week we give candidate a test, which is made of some MCQs and some constructed response questions. And then those constructed response questions, every week in my sessions, I provide a commentary on them. So, and I try to give feedback to every candidate in the classroom in terms of what's their writing style and how they can improve. And we do this every week. So that gives you enough practice for a constructed response. Okay, I'll take 2-3 more questions. Shlok, with the growth in AI, how will the impact of it freshers research? I think I've answered that question. A, B, C, D, E, F. I've done my graduation in 2014. After that, did government job prep, then tuitions, but no formal job. Advise me something, how to enter corporate sector. My interest is in stock market. A, B, C, D, E, F. It's going to be tough because that's a 10-year break. However, at times I've heard employers coming and asking me, do you have any specific UPSC candidate? Because when they mean UPSC, I understand what they mean. They mean someone who's well read and understands the country very well. Okay, so if you have that kind of a background, maybe you can explore, but it's not going to be a very smooth, easy entry into finance. It will be a little tough. Harsh, according to you, which sector is the toughest to build expertise on? Good question. I'll tell you which ones I find very tough to build expertise on. I think insurance for me would be the toughest. I do not understand what goes into calculation of the concept of embedded values. So that could be a good place. Banking, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I mean, I understand it on the surface, but requires a lot of work. Chemical, I find extremely difficult because, again, I discussed this in level 2 class today, that the problem with chemicals is that every company by itself is a different sector. You have a company manufacturing chemicals for a particular molecule used in shampoos, then you have to study shampoo as a space first, and then study, who are the manufacturers and whatnot. So I struggle with chemicals as well. Okay. Last two, I'm done. Bhagya, give us important key point to crack equity research. But my title of today's session is Careers Beyond Equity Research. I've answered 4 questions on equity research so far. Good. So Bhagya, I think financial modeling, that's an absolute, and financial modeling the right way, not just building, fancy looking, good looking Excel models or writing reports. Everything can be automated except your ability to understand the business. See, one thing you need to understand, a lot of AI models are trained on what happened in the past, right? So they're not necessarily fantastic models on their ability to forecast. So some analyst who has a superior understanding of a business environment will still be able to do really, really good in equity research. So learn businesses, learn financial modeling. That's a very simple, easy process to get into equity research. Okay, I'm looking for my last question of the day. Kindly post your questions here so I'll be able to select maybe one. Yeah, please stop spamming, please. I've read TSM, just Nishchay. I'm pursuing actuarial science, can't hire IT devices or placement. Okay. All right, I think I'll take Nishchay's question. You know what? I like Harsh's question well. Harsh is asking why Tejas is falling. He's talking about Tejas network. It's been one of the stocks in my portfolio for a few years. Though I've trimmed down my position and then I bought a little bit again later on. The reason why Tejas is falling is because I believe it went up too fast and too high. It probably didn't deserve the valuation it got at its peak, right? About 1,500 rupees or something like that. I don't remember. It's Tejas is one of those businesses where you cannot, it's difficult to evaluate that business, forget quarterly, right? It's difficult to evaluate that business even on a yearly basis, because the cycle is so long for them to get new business. And these guys basically do back-end network and overhaul of the whole systems for the telecommunication players. I think the last big client was BSNL and they're doing new project for them. And I think it's going to be a painful business to remain invested in, right? So if you do not have the stomach to stay invested 5, 10, 15 years, probably I would refrain from investing into a business like that. But the thesis is very simple, that India needs a credible telecom equipment technology provider. Tejas happens to be the only one. It's a Tata Group company now, reasonable reputation. They've proved, with BSNL 4G working well in some cities. Now they've proved that, they have the tech capability to do it at the cheapest cost or relatively cheaper cost. So you bet on the theme and you wait out for a few years and hope that the company works. So the management is excellent. Product quality is reasonably good. You wouldn't want to trust on Chinese companies to do telecom backhaul now in India. So that ways things are lined up, but it's a lumpy business. They will get a contract, they'll do good for a few years and then they will not. So you'll have to be careful with stories like these. All right, so with this, I think I will take your leave. I hope you enjoyed the session. We had a two-week break in between. But after this, I think we will have 8 consecutive sessions where I'll be coming on every Saturday and talking to you. For some sessions, I might also be inviting guests. So it's going to be a mix. All the questions that I couldn't answer today, You can post them in the comments of this particular video, and then I will try and answer them during the week or maybe in the next session. All right. So thank you very much. You guys have a good one. I appreciate your time and see you next Saturday, same time.